Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of Storytime. So this story is going to be a little different from the other stories that I've talked about. It talks about my hate, my fears and extreme struggles with pests, insects and every single thing that crawls or flies and trust me, they're pure evil. Like literally you can term the story as my curse of the pets because my life is exactly like a horror movie story where all these insects and pests are behind my life, like those monsters that just want to rip me apart. And oh my god, I am not even exaggerating when I say this, they are literally after my life. There's no bias as to which type of insect or pest wants to kill me. Literally every single thing that crawls and flies, they're after my life. So I'm going to explain to you the stories that I've had in 4 cities that I've been in the last 5 years. And the one thing that's common with all of them is my story with pests. So let's start with the first place, which is my home, Kochi. Whenever I used to come back home to Kochi for vacations, more than any family member, I've had a group of mosquitoes that's welcomed me so much. But my actual major issue was with the worms that used to come and visit me in my bathroom, and trust me, only in my bathroom at home. That used to freak me out so much. I would start screaming and my mom would run in like some superhero person with her magic broom and she would just go for the worm. Well, poor thing. But I honestly thought that this was the thing with Kochi and the weather over there, and probably it'll get better once I move to a new city. So when I moved to Bangalore for college, my friends and I took out a new apartment and we didn't get beds, but instead we got mattresses. We soon realized that was stupid because those mattresses were infected with bedbugs. Now you know how bedbugs work, right? They move, they crawl around, they mate, and of course they suck your blood, which of course leaves you to sleepless nights and you constantly think that something's crawling on you. We did everything. We cleaned, we mopped, we dusted, but there was no end to this. It just kept spreading. We genuinely thought we had it all under control, but after a couple of months it just became very disgusting and it was just torturing us. We searched for a lot of hacks on Google. We even put campfires around our bed hoping that the smell of it would drive it away, but it just got worse. To a point where we actually realized and accepted that pest control is the actual solution. But nothing got better because I kept constantly checking again and again, literally till I graduated from college. And that's what a small bedbug can do to you. Moving on to the next city of my life, which is Delhi, where I went for work. Now, over there, I stayed in a PG and my room was very close to the kitchen. So I used to come back home really late because of my work. And whenever I used to come, thanks to the heat of Delhi, I used to always switch on the AC. Except for this one night when I came back home and I switched it on and it had a very stinky smell. I called the owner and I realized there was a dead mouse in my AC. Yes, and there began my next struggle with the next pest, which is nothing else than a mouse. There were so many mice in the kitchen and we could literally hear the sounds of it dashing against the doors every time we used to enter the kitchen. And trust me, I used to just run back to my room because I was super scared. You know, in the middle of the night, we would have these small mice crawling their way into my room through the creases of the door. And if that isn't worse, one of them even got into our room, into my cupboard and bit its way into one of my favorite kurtas. Oh! I literally had a mouse living in my room. Yes. Oh! And one fine day, Mr. Mouse decides to show himself and he starts pushing things from top of the cupboard, making so much of ruckus. And I was standing on my bed trying to shoo it away so that it can go out of the door into the kitchen wherever it wants. But it was so stubborn that it was just sitting there and staring at me on my face. And I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. And we ended up having many more sleepless nights just like this. We eventually decided to move out. And then one day when I was coming back home from work, my roommate was so happy when she told me that they finally caught the mouse. But the thing is, we were anyway gonna move out, but you see how a small creature like a mouse, without even touching me, ruined my peace? Well, get ready for the next story, which happened in Mumbai this year. So I was staying in an apartment where the kitchen was on one side and the hall was in the other side, and I was basically staying in the hall because I never stayed at home. I always used to notice these small cockroaches here and there, but I never really cared. Up until the lockdown when I was practically alone and I started cooking more, and thanks to the heat in Bombay, they started multiplying. I used to clean so much, but they still kept spreading. Till a point where again, I had sleepless nights. I couldn't call the pest control and I couldn't use the spray because I was stuck inside my home and I could not be inhaling this. So they kept spreading and spreading and spreading. The army was almost going to kill me, but thankfully the flight started again and I could fly back home in time, leaving this home forever. And after running around all the cities in India, I have finally come back home to where it all began. Today when I go to the bathroom or sit there, I genuinely think about how a small tiny creature like a pest can impact one's life so much. I mean, they're so tiny but their impact is so huge. I mean, think about it. They can't talk, they can't run, they're so tiny. But still see the impact that they had on my life and the number of sleepless nights I had because of them. And you know what's the difference between them and us? They don't have fears. At least they don't think about their fears. They just live. They just survive. They work as a team and they look after each other. If there's something that I've learned through all of this, it's just this, that if an insect as tiny as the tip of my finger can ruin my peace, then what's stopping us? What's stopping us from making changes in this world? And why aren't we standing together as a team fighting against everything that's wrong? I've heard so many people say that we're too small to make a change in this big world, or who are we to bring a difference in the society? But what if I say that you can? I mean, you genuinely can. If a small worm can make a difference in my life, then you definitely can make a difference in this world. I kept moving around from one place to another because these pests never gave me peace. Think about how many wrongdoings we can move out if we as humans and citizens start making noise. If we start becoming a pest. Even though these pests ruin my life, I think there's a lot that we can learn from them. I mean, if we humans stand with each other, then just like the army of cockroaches that were after my life, probably we can put an end to evil as well. So that's all I have to say in this story, guys. Be a pest. Genuinely be a pest. And probably we can all change this world. With love, your storyteller.